Hello guys. The core role of business analyst is a requirement generation. This requirement would be more effective if the business analyst is aware about the types of requirement, categories of requirement. Most important, the awareness and knowledge about the tools and techniques will definitely help business analysts to enhance the requirement generation practice. My name is Mayur Deshpande. Today we're gonna discuss about requirement, types of requirement, verification and validation of requirement, tools and techniques of requirement elicitation, and competencies of BA needed for requirement generation. So let's start. What is meant by requirement? A requirement is a problem statement or a need of stakeholder. Requirement can be defined as expected change in a system to solve the problem. Requirement may be the new opportunity which will add values to the stakeholders. In short, requirement is a problem statement or need or expected change or new opportunity for business development or business enhancement. What are the types of requirement? As per the Babcock, there are 4 types of requirement. First, business requirement. Business requirement always speaks about the objective of business, the goal of organization, need or problem statement raised by the stakeholders. Objective, goal, needs and problem statement, these are the main focus of business requirement. Second, stakeholder requirement. Stakeholder requirement gives us the ideas and expectation of stakeholders. Third is a solution requirement. We have business requirements, goal, objective, need, problems. Solution requirement tells us how we are going to fulfill that requirement, how we are going to fulfill the need, how we are going to achieve the object. Solution requirements are of 2 types, functional requirement and non-functional requirement. Functional requirement is all about the capability. Transaction or activity of users are involved into this requirement. Non-functional requirements is all about the quality and performance of a system, of a project. Lastly, the transition requirement. The transitional requirements are all about the sharing knowledge or sharing data. Data transaction or knowledge transaction is involved in this kind of requirements. So these are the basic 4 types of requirement. We'll see it with the example. Business requirement. Reduce the company cost by 20% within a year. There is a goal. There is a reduction of cost. Increase the company revenue by 6%. It is an objective. It is a goal. So it is a business requirement. Replace, it's a need. Replace excess manpower by appropriate technology. It is a need. So this kind of requirements is categorized as a business requirement. Then what is the stakeholder requirement? To provide an interface to online customer and deliver high quality products. Providing interface to online customer, providing interface is an idea, is an expectation of a stakeholders. So it can be categorized as a stakeholder requirement because stakeholder requirement speaks about the ideas and expectation. To provide digital platform to showcase, it is an idea to provide the digital platform. Replace customer management by CRM tools. It is clear that customer management process is can be replaced by CRM tool. It is an expectation. So it is a stakeholder requirement. Example of solution requirement. Functional requirement and non-functional requirement. In functional requirement, we have seen it is all about the capability where interaction with the system or activity of users is involved. User can search the desired product by click on button. Click on button is an activity, is to be performed by the user. So it is a functional requirement. System should have customer registration and account management. It is an expected activity of system, so it is a functional requirement. Based on mentioned formula, every value get calculated. It is an activity performed by the system or performed by the users, whatever. It is a functional requirement. Then what is non-functional requirement? Non-functional requirement is always about the quality and performance. SMS response SMS response time should be less than 5 seconds. It's about the performance. It's about the system performance. The screen of digital platform should be responsive. It is again about the performance or quality. At least 1000 concurrent users can access the system. It is again about the performance or quality. So these are the non-functional requirements. Lastly, transition requirement. What is transition requirement? It is all about the sharing knowledge or sharing data. A bank is expected to replace their ATM system. So bank is having old data and want to incorporate with this new system. The old data, old customer data, which is having with the bank, it has to be incorporated with the new system. A transfer of data or transfer of knowledge is taking place. So it is a transition requirement. User manual should provided with every product. User manual is a transfer of knowledge. So it is a transition requirement. So these are the requirements categories. Why we conduct requirement verification? To check whether the elicited requirements are up to the expectation of stakeholders. The best way to verify the requirement is invest criteria. I stands for independent, N stands for negotiable, V stands for valuable, E stands for estimable, S stands for small, and T stands for testable. My requirement has to be independent. Requirement should not be dependent on any other requirement or any other requirement object. There has to be some scope of negotiation with the requirement. Requirement should be valuable. Requirement should put values to the project development. Requirement should add some values to the ultimate final product. Requirement should be estimable. Requirement should have a proper estimation set with aspect of cost, with aspect of resource, with aspect of a time frame. Requirement should be estimable. Requirement should be small. Requirement should not be too big. At least we should have requirement which can be delivered in a single sprint. Requirement should be testable. One can test the requirement properly. Then we have other methods for requirement verification, that is scope tracing, where we trace the scope of requirement, acceptance criteria, and the important is stakeholder sign off, stakeholder approval for requirement. So this is the requirement. We have requirement verified, we have to validate the requirement. Why? Because we have to check whether the elicited requirements are aligned in my business need or objective. I need to check whether the requirements are up to the mark. I need to check whether the requirements are aligned to my business goal. My requirement should not have any conflicts or ambiguity. I have to validate it. Requirement should be a production feasible. I have to check for production feasibility. By 4 types I can check the production feasibility: technical feasibility, business feasibility, resource feasibility, and legal feasibility. Once my requirement has passed all these filters, requirement verification, requirement validation, requirement gathering, and all, once it is passed all my filters, then I can call requirement is a perfect requirement in line of importance of development. We have to prioritize the requirement with time estimation. We have to prioritize the requirements by benefits of its development. Cost of production is one of the most effective factor of requirement prioritization. We have to prioritize as per the regulatory compliance and dependencies of other requirements. Once we have prioritized requirements and all, we have clear set of requirements so that we can proceed with the development. The most effective is an interview. We can have a one-on-one discussion with the stakeholders. Group meetings, we can have meetings with different stakeholders. We can brainstorm about the ideas. We can have observations, what others are doing. We can have focus groups, which are dedicated groups for a specific domain. We can raise the questions or surveys. We can take the surveys. That is also good technique for requirement generation. Or we can have a requirement workshop where all my stakeholders will be on a single table and will be discussion about the requirement. Interface analysis, prototyping, mind mapping, these all are the techniques of requirement. What are the competencies of business analyst? A business analyst should have analytical thinking approach, should have problem solving approach. A business analyst should have a business knowledge, domain knowledge. If you have, as a business analyst, if you have domain knowledge and business knowledge, so you know in and out of this project, in and out of that domain. Lastly, we'll see the competencies of BA. What are the competencies to be a good BA, business analyst, to good perfect business analyst? What are the competencies to become a perfect business analyst? Analytical thinking, problem solving. One should have analytical thinking. One should have analytical thinking approach. One should have analytical thinking attitude and a problem solving attitude. A perfect business analyst always have a domain knowledge. Communication skills, we have different types of stakeholders, so how you gonna communicate with them? Communication skill is very important. Then interaction skills, we have different stakeholders with different attitude, with different mindsets, so it is very important you should cope up with the business, we should cope up with the stakeholders attitude. That defines your interaction skills. And finally, tools and technology. A business analyst should be aware about the new tools and technology that will make a business that will make you a perfect business analyst. Tools and technologies. Tools and technologies. Every day there are new tools, new technologies, new methodologies rising up. So as a business analyst, you should be aware about these tools and technology. That's going to be help you in requirement generation, requirement definition, designing. That will make you ease of the business. Tools and technology. There are many tools and technology. Every day there are new tools and technologies are rising up. So a business analyst should have knowledge of tools and technology. Requirement types, verification, validation of requirement, prioritization of requirement, techniques and tools, and competencies are needed. So that's it for the day. Thanks for watching. If you have any query, write to me in comment box. Thanks. Signing off. Thank you.